This meeting is being recorded.
Hey there, Hill folk, and welcome back to another episode of Appalachian Intelligence. We're extremely thankful that you guys can join us here again for another week. You guys will have to look over me a little bit today. I've been battling the flu for a few days, so if the voice goes out a little bit sometime throughout this, I apologize. I'll try to keep the coughing fits muted and the raspy laugh wheezing that I have going on. With you, per the usual, your hosts, Justin, Ryan, and Lance. Ryan, Lance, how you boys doing this evening?
Well, we're doing freaking fantastic.
A lot better than you, apparently.
Yeah. At least we're not sick.
It's true.
I will say, we sat within close proximity of each other for 8 hours on Sunday, if not more than that.
More like 13.
And you're the only one that got sick.
Yeah.
He's the only one with a flu shot, too. I'm just saying.
I didn't get a flu shot.
Every year that I take a flu shot, well, the only reason I took one this year is because my baby girl was like, I'm not taking one, Daddy, unless you do. So I was like, God bless. Okay, I'll take it. So I took it.
Dad of the year.
Guess what?
Dad of the year.
She got your ass.
Every time I've ever taken it, I've got deathly sick with the flu. I'm done with it.
It's not a live virus.
Your immune system is probably just a lot softer than ours is, apparently.
Yeah.
Probably.
It's that ginger immune system.
That's what it is.
Probably the ginger thing. All right. Anyway.
But I'm doing great.
I'm glad you guys are doing so well.
It took a long time to say that.
Moving on. This is why I usually don't ask that. Usually I don't care how you guys are doing. But no, getting into this thing, we like to share our latest 5-star reviews whenever we receive them. We like to share a little love, or we like to show some love when we get love. So our latest 5-star review comes from a man by the name Reverend Josh Robinson. You guys might know that name as Proud Hill Folk because we just interviewed Josh Robinson and Richie Brock a few weeks back and talked about their upcoming project with Shadow Appalachia. You guys go follow that. Josh and Richie are the hosts of the podcast, hosts of the Sword and Staff podcast. They put out great content. Love what those guys are doing. If you need to go back and check out that episode with those guys, check out their work, everything that's going on with Shadow Appalachia. Donate to it. They've got a crowdfunding thing going on, and I mean it's going to be awesome. You guys are really going to enjoy it. If you love Appalachia, if you love the folklore, if you love the mythology in this area, and if you love the weird, check out that project. But anyway, this comes from Reverend Josh Robinson, 5 stars, says, we love AI. Sketchy Richie and I had the opportunity to talk with the fellas over at AI last week. It was a great time, and they're cranking out great content that should make the Hill folk of Appalachia proud. So, Josh, thank you so much for that, sir, along with all the other sharing of our show that you've done. We really appreciate it, and we love you, boys.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. You still can't baptize me, though. Demon-infested river he's got up there.
But today we got a really cool surprise for you Hill folk. We got a couple of pretty awesome guests with us sitting down to talk today. These guys are trailblazers into the terror of night, huntsmen hiding from the Haints, collectors of coon hunting creepiness. We got the Hounds Tooth Mafia. We got Daniel and Ryan from Coon Hunting Confidentials. Daniel, Ryan, boys, how y'all doing this evening?
Man, I'm doing great. How y'all doing? I'm making it myself. I'm doing too terrible.
Doing good. You're doing pretty good. I'm excited to have you guys.
Well, we appreciate it. And start off with, we want to say we appreciate y'all having us on. I'm a big fan of y'all's show. I listen to it all the time. And, it's, I ain't gonna say honor, but it's great to be on y'all's, to be talking with y'all because I listen to y'all all the time and get to meet you and stuff like that.
Go ahead. You could say it.
You can say honor. That's fine. You can say
It's an
honor.
honor.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
it is vice versa for us as well, because I'm gonna tell you, I love y'all show. I love what you're doing. That's amazing what y'all do. It's I love it. I've been
Why don't
binging
you-
y'all all day today.
Why don't you boys let the hill folk out there know a little bit about yourselves and a little bit about the show, your podcast, and what you guys do? Because like Ryan's saying, I think it is important. Y'all kind of have your own brand going. You started your own thing here, and it's a really cool. It's really cool for anybody that enjoys one side or the other. I think a whole bunch of people can come together and enjoy your all's podcast just based on a bunch of different things. So if y'all wouldn't mind, why don't you just tell them a little bit about your show and what you do and what got it started and where y'all are at?
All right. I guess I can tell you a little bit about myself, and Ryan can tell you about himself after me, and then I can tell you how it all came about, because Ryan and I have been friends since hell, I don't know. How old was you? 13, 12,
Probably
13?
about 12, 13 years old. We started hunting together.
I was in my early, I was probably about 25, 26. I'm 42 now. So yeah. So anyway, my name is Daniel Felker, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a Southern boy. We live down here in South Carolina, a little bitty small town called Joanna, man. There's one red light, but there's a Dollar General, so we get by. And we live like right in the heart of Sumter National Forest. And so we got a lot of like hunting land, but anyway, I've kind of been around here all my life. When I graduated high school, I went to Pensacola. I went to a Bible college in Pensacola. It was there. It's no longer there. It was the Brownsville Revival School of Ministry. And at that time, and I still think historically Brownsville might be the longest running revival in American history. But it was crazy to describe that, because I went down there my senior year just for like revival for church. And I stood in line. We had to stand in line. I think we got in line at noon that day. And there was people that had been camped out and stuff. And it was like that for about the first year. There was having to direct traffic because people was camping out, and there was lines going down, surrounding. I had a roommate from the country of Norway. It was like people was coming from actually at the time, Brownsville Revival School of Ministry was the fastest growing Bible college in the United States. And I don't even want to get into how all that came about, but in a nutshell, I'll tell you what made it go defunct was denomination hierarchy, was basically how that came about. And, somebody might hear this and be like, no, it wasn't. And I'm like, I graduated from there. I had just left. I knew people that was going to school there. I talked to them, and it was denominational hierarchy that stepped in, and that whole thing crumbled. So, but anyway, I graduated in May of 2000. Yeah, I graduated high school in 1998. I graduated from Bible College in May of 2000, and I got married in June. I married my wife, and we started dating when I was in high school. I was like 16, I think she was 15, and we've been married 22 years, and we have 3 kids. My oldest son is a sophomore at Anderson University. No, he's a junior. Yeah, he's a junior at Anderson University. And my other son, Peyton, he is a senior at Whitmire High School. And my little girl, huh?
I said he's a pimp.
Oh, yeah.
P-I-M-P. If you don't know, you do now.
We call him Slim. So and then I have a little girl. She's about to turn 10 in a couple of days on December the 10th. So that's about how life has went, and when I graduated Bible college, I thought that at that time I was going to hit the world ablaze and go to the mission field, and I thought I was going to go to Brazil, and little did I know how life would unfold. And over the years, my perspective has changed a lot. My a lot of my biblical views have changed a lot over the years. I believe I'm Pentecostal. I still believe, I come from that background and I still hold to that. But there are certain things like, I tell people that the best and the worst thing I ever did was go to a Bible college. I said, because I learned how to study the Bible and I learned how to read through a lot of bullshit that pastors was throwing out that I was hearing coming from a pulpit. And I'm like, that's not what the Bible says. And I tell the main thing is like the trib, pre-trib, post-trib, all of that. I grew up like Jesus is coming back before the tribulation. And I'm reading in the Bible and I'm like, that's not what I'm seeing. I'm like, you take somebody and you put them in a room by themselves and give them nothing but a Bible to read, no commentary, no nothing, for like 2-3 years. They don't know anything about the Bible. They just know you just give it to them and they read it. They're going to come out of that. And you tell them about a pre-trib rapture and they're going to be like, I did not read that it anywhere in this book. Did you come? Are they going to come up with that? You know what I'm saying? And so somewhere along the way, about COVID, I started asking a lot of questions. And I told my mama, I run a feed store. I work a full-time job. I run a feed store in this little town. And
You telling me COVID what brought this on?
No, that was about the time because I remember COVID. I started questioning a lot of things about the Great Pyramid, stuff like that. I was like, I feel like there are things that I feel like I felt like God. I was like, why would He allow some of this stuff? Where are the answers? Why is He allowing none of this stuff to be known? Where did this Great Pyramid come from? Because I don't believe it got built the way it is. I'm looking at all these megalithic structures and I'm like, where's this at in the Bible? How can I fit this into my paradigm? And I tell my mom, I said, I'm kind of having issues with God about this. And then I come across Gary Wayne, all these different things. And I come across the Nephilim. And I remember reading in high school, my senior year, I was like the Bible thumper. As I was hardcore, I was deep in it. And so I got to coming across. I never have bought into the Genesis 6 as being the Sethites. I've always looked at Peter and knew that those sons of God were the fallen angels and not some men. And that's how all my mindset started coming together on the certain things that we could possibly get into tonight and my thoughts on it. Because I'll go deep on anything. But I started coon hunting when I was 11. I've always coon hunted. I've never really liked deer hunting. I like squirrel hunting with dogs a little bit, but I've been a diehard coon hunter, and I guess that kind of led up to I wanted to do a podcast, but I'll let Ryan talk a little bit and let him tell a little bit about himself.
Well, I don't have quite as much to say.
Tell us about your time. Tell us about your time spent at Bible college, Ryan.
Well, see, I didn't go to Bible college. I became a welder, and I've done a lot of welding and millwrighting. So it was kind of the opposite of that on the job site. Anyways, I'm 31 years old, and I'm from Clinton, South Carolina. I got 2 youngins, 7 and 10, and met old Daniel here when I was probably 12, 13 years old, started coon hunting and listened to him talk about a bunch of crazy shit from time to time while we was coon hunting. It kind of led into a podcast. Now I'm sitting here talking to you fellas. I feel like I made it.
Crazy ass world, ain't it?
Yep.
Yeah, dude, I've always been a stargazer. Like,
Yeah.
there's something about the night sky that I find beautiful. And I don't remember. I was listening to, I don't remember exactly which podcast it was I was listening to. And it was talking about why is the moon come across as feminine a lot of times. And I don't think it was y'all. I don't exactly remember who it was, but it was talking about, and I was like, that makes sense. It makes sense to me.
Why
if
we
you
like the night so much.
if you go outside and stare at the sun, it's harsh. The summertime is harsh. It's almost, to me, it has a masculine feel, but the moon is beautiful. It's feminine. It's easy to look at. It's easy on the eyes, and the night sky, I think, is just, it's mesmerizing if you really take the time to look at the night sky.
You know
Well,
what?
Yeah.
That just occurred to me. Remember them old cartoons when the hot lady would come out on stage and they'd turn into a wolf and bang chairs and howl? And werewolves turn into a
Yeah.
werewolf on full moons and start howling at the moon? It's because it's a
Yeah.
hot lady.
Yeah,
Brian,
it
that's
is.
genius. That's genius. That may be the smartest thing you've ever said on the show.
That's not by far the smartest thing I've ever said on this show.
Damn it, go. Why did you put the pieces together so quickly?
Because you told me to, drill sergeant.
If you don't know what Ryan's favorite movie is, it's easy to tell
Forrest Gump.
because the lines just come so fluidly. Because how many times have you seen Forrest Gump? Like
I
three,
can't-
400?
A buddy of mine, he had his own house or trailer when we was in high school. He didn't have cable. We just watched Forrest Gump on repeat all the time.
Yeah,
Well,
wake
that's
up
kinda-
and Forrest Gump playing.
That's
Yeah.
kind of how me and Lance were with Major Payne for a couple years. So
Absolutely.
we get it. We get it. We understand.
It was Tommy
yeah.
Boy for me.
Man, the first time I guess I had Ryan playing. Ryan don't listen to a lot of podcasts. If he listens to anything that's not like a hunting podcast, most of the time it's when he's riding with me. And we was coon hunting one night, and I was like, dude, you got to hear the story. I put on the Hollow Sky podcast when y'all were on there, and Justin was telling the story about that shadow figure. And man, when I don't remember which one of them guys it was at the Hollow Sky, it was like I'd been karate chopping the F out of that thing.
That's
And when he said that, I don't know who said that, but dude, we busted. I done heard it, and I'd already laughed, and we busted out laughing. Like it was so funny.
Dude,
But-
we love those guys. Steve and Kyle over at Hollow
Oh, my
Sky.
they're so
I feel
funny.
like we talk about them every single episode, but that's the credit that they deserve. I feel like because
Yeah.
we love those dudes, and honestly, we stay in constant contact. I mean, we message each other, once every few days, checking on each other, seeing, what's going on, what you're working on, what you're into. I mean, they've been a huge help for us. We've had a whole lot of listeners come over from the cult of Hollow Sky and check us out, and they're great dudes, man. They're so easy to sit down and talk to. They're a lot like you boys, and that's what we keep finding is, no matter who we're sitting down and yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the first time I listened to one of their episodes, they was like cracking open a monster, and I'm like, heck yeah, I can get down with these. I can tell already because I'm addicted to monsters. So
Yeah.
Ryan be preaching at me all the time about I
They're the
drink,
devil, bro.
but
That lady has too much time on her hands. Don't you believe that bullshit, Ryan? That's a M. That is not 666 in Aramaic or Hebrew, whatever the hell she said. That's a Karen with too much time, is what that is.
so the Monster Originals, man, I drink like one, sometimes two a day, and I got to have it.
Wonder why his kidneys hurt.
Listen,
Yeah.
I used to have a problem. You can ask Justin. I bring a 12-pack of those white sugar-free monsters to work and just drink them all day long.
It was bad. It was bad. Like probably 4 or 5 a day.
Did your kidneys hurt?
No. Oh, and I lost a lot of weight because I wasn't drinking pop anymore. Now I'm just
Yeah,
a fat ass.
Blood pressure and
quit drinking
cholesterol was through the roof.
Oh,
My cholesterol was
heart rate
fine,
was
it's my blood pressure.
177.
Yeah, in my
So-
sleep.
That's not good.
No,
No.
I had to give those up.
Well, man, I tell you, like, Dustin, we have a third member of our little mafia, little trio here. He is actually in New Orleans right now with some kind of farmers association. I forgot what the hell he said now.
The Young Farmers Association, I think is what he said.
Might be. Anyway, his family they're like chicken farmers. They have chicken houses and stuff like that, and they go to the meetings every year. So he's down there for that. So normally he would be chiming in with us, but he got me about 2 years ago. He's a squirrel hunter. That's his thing. He wanted to go coon hunting with me, so we went coon hunting, and we was talking about dogs. But sometimes like persimmon trees, muscadines, and when they're really ripe, when persimmons are on, they can give a dog a fit, and they'll pull up short. And we're talking about why this is, and he was like, you know what? He said, I just listened to a podcast about scenting on the Houndsman XP. And so I went on there and I found it. I listened to it. And that was the first podcast I listened to. And I turned into a podcast junkie. And I started listening I listened to every like dog hunting podcast I could come across. I started listening. Then I started branching out to all my other interests like conspiracy theory stuff. I come across Sam Tripoli and the tinfoil hat. I listened to that all the time. Then I came across Tony Merkel, the confessionals, the blurry creatures. I believe I've listened to every blurry creatures episode from one plus like all the members episode. Tony's got a lot. It's hard to go through his back.
Yeah.
Then
He's coming up on 500 now. So
yeah, he's way up there. So anyway,
Damn.
I got the idea I wanted to do a coon hunting podcast because there wasn't very many of them. And, you know, coon hunting, some people say coon hunting is on the down slope, but competition coon hunting is on the rise. Like just this year, they was going to hold a PKC hunt in Mississippi that was going to be for 64 dogs at, I think, $4,500 entry fee and was going to pay back $100,000 first place. It booked up so fast that they had to have two of them. They booked up two 64 dog, $4,500 entry fee hunts, and they had held them back to back, or held them at the same event at the same time in Mississippi. And one of them, guy named Scott Engel with a dog named Wipeout Echo, won the first one. He won. They went out the final four. They decided to go back out and hunt. The other one, the final four decided to split. So they took that money and it all got split amongst the first through fourth.
Wow.
And then, I mean, you got like your world hunts pay out big. There's super stakes. There's 3 age groups for super stakes and PKC. Then UKC they started this tournament of champions, which to get qualified for that, you got to have 5 UKC cast wins within a year. So for this year, it'll end December 31st. And they have the tournament of champions. All those that got qualified will go to like zones and hunt against each other. And once they make it through them zones, or I don't know if they named them zones or regions, I can't remember. But then they'll go out and hunt for $50,000. So, and I can name probably 5 dogs right now off the top of my head that have sold between $80,000 to $100,000 in the past 3-4 years.
a dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I got I ain't gonna say.
There's one that sold for so much. A guy bought half of him, and that guy paid $85,000 for a dog, and he'll openly say that he paid that for a dog, but he won't tell you how much he paid for half of that other dog. He said it's more than he would have ever imagined he paid for the dog. And he's rich.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So
Well, I guess I won't be in any kind of competition, hon. I can tell you that.
well, you can get into it. I'm not gonna say you can get into
Not at
it
that
kind
level,
of
maybe,
cheap,
but-
but not at that. Yeah, I'm not at that level.
No, we're not at that level.
No.
I've been doing it my whole damn life almost.
Well, we'll say for instance, like right now there's a hunt going on over in Union, South Carolina called the Palmetto Jamboree. And last night we held a warm-up hunt at our club, which was $100 entry fee. And I forgot how many. We go out, they'll split them out as many. They'll kind of like divide them out and cast of 4. And
4 dogs to a group.
they try to do at 4. Sometimes it'll break down to a 3-dog cast, but then each one has a guide. They go hunting. You'll have hunting judges, but they'll hunt. You got rules and stuff like that. And so I thought I had Tuesday night, I got off work and I'm like, well, I know I'm gonna hunt this hunt. It's pouring down rain. I turn my dog loose. She goes in there, blast through there, hunting in the rain, trees a coon. I didn't think she was gonna do shit. And then come last night in the hunt, after I done paid $100 entry fee, she hooks a hog and she runs that stinking bastard for a whole hour. And I'm talking about, I was highly, highly pissed. Highly, I was so bad. So I'm not at the level where I'm gonna be hunting for no. Well, I'm paying now. Like some of them hunts. There's a organization called Pro Sport, and they are. I'm not gonna call them. They are the upper echelon, I guess, of handlers and hunters because they give away a truck at their hunts, and this majority of them's trucks, and it's a $6,500 entry fee.
Go.
It's a
I'm-
brand
That's
new truck
crazy.
that they give away. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, like John Strickland, but they said something about he's going to be opening up like Strickland Motors. But yeah, there's a lot of that. And coon hunting I don't see coon hunting on a down slope because of coon hunting is like right there from being as close to Bassmasters or some type of bass fishing. Like maybe not Bassmasters, but it's getting pretty dang close to
I don't
bass
know, bro.
fishing.
Somebody's got to win $1 million coon hunting before we get there.
Hey, if it keeps going at this rate, 5 years ago, I never would have thought I'd have seen $100,000 payout hunt. But
Hell,
anyway,
I don't even think them bass boats cost what they paid for them dogs.
probably not
they
some of them.
they cost 60,
Well,
70,
well,
$80,000.
one of them that sold for $100,000 has turned right around, and he's won that plus a lot more. He's
Okay.
definitely won. I think he's probably pushing 300,000, maybe 280, something like that.
Boys, this
Wow.
might show a little bit of my ignorance here on coon hunting. But is this the guy pays $100,000 for that dog? Is it pretty similar to like a stud fee for horse racing, where he will stud that dog out?
Oh yeah,
Eventually,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So people would pay him a certain set amount or whatever to breed
Yeah,
with
right
that
now
dog.
the average stud on a good dog right now is 850, something like that. Somewhere in that neighborhood, about $850. But once they're not gonna live cover a female if they're really pushing that dog in a hunt. They might do some kind of like AI, no pun intended. But but they might do something like that with a vet drawing it, but they're not going to like let them live cover a female if they're really pushing that dog in a hunt really hard.
Yeah, you
You
better
know what
let
I'm
a
saying?
vet do it.
This is head up.
this is heads up. Both of 'em.
Yeah. So y'all talking about
So I'm gonna let the vet do it. This bastard follows me around enough as it is.
Do anything I tell him to. But anyway, I'll go back to, I listened to I wanted to do a coon hunting podcast because there wasn't very many of them, and it's kind of like on the uptick. Now there's a few out there now. I say 4, 5 right off, maybe 5. I hope I'm not missing anybody. I don't want to start naming them because I might miss them. But I wanted to know, I wanted to do a podcast. And then I just so happened I was listening to Tony, and they had the dog versus dog man episode came out, and it was a
Yep.
coon hunting story. And I'm listening to it, and I'm popping off eargasms because I'm like, holy crap, is coon hunting and creepy. I was like, I got to hear more of this. I got to hear more of this. I got to know. I was like, I'm a coon hunter. That's all I do is coon hunt. I want to hear more. And I started like wanting to take certain aspects of other podcasts and how they were formatted and stuff. And I knew I was already hitting Ryan up. I was like, dude, we got to do it. You got to, man. I was like, it's too much comedy value to not put into a podcast. And then I talked to Dustin, and I was like, dude, man, I was like, you listen to podcasts all the time. You the one that got me hooked on this stuff. I was like, let's go on this podcast and look for these creepy stories with me. And he said, okay. And I didn't, not that I didn't want him to, I didn't think he was going to say okay when I said creepy stuff. Coon hunting, I knew he would be down for. But when I mentioned the creepy, looking for the weird, unexplainable stuff that's happened, but yeah, he was cool with it, and so far he's enjoying it. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm enjoying it. We're having fun. We're meeting people.
I didn't think we'd make it this far.
I'm
Yeah,
telling
no.
y'all, your show is awesome. It's all,
We-
and there's not another one like it. Is the thing. So you
Well-
said you were looking for more stories like that. You are those more stories. There ain't no other show like y'all. So you guys got something
Well, I
really
know.
good.
But yeah, it's a lot of the people. There's some people that are very reluctant on telling their stories, and there's some of them I'm still working on trying to make contact, get in touch with them, and get it out of them. I reckon, but man, we just like to cut up and have fun, and I try to take our audience. If you look at the coon hunting audience in a whole, it's a very patriotic, very I'd say country boy Christian type atmosphere. It's very, at times I think our community can be very blind patriotic as well,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. But so I try to be careful as far as how much how far off the rabbit trail we divulge, because of just the coon hunting audience in general, as far as what I feel like they would be comfortable accepting, and I try to like weave little things into it, like the fairies.
Lizard
Come on
people.
now, whoever thought they would listen to a coon hunting podcast talking about fairies?
Unless it was the name of the dog or something. Like,
Yeah.
Fairy.
oh,
Dude,
I'm supposed to ask y'all, have you ever heard of a dog called Foggy Mountain Blaze?
I haven't, but I can look into it. Maybe.
Well,
possibly.
I think I might have.
the boy we work with, his name's Nick. His cousin, Clayton, right?
Clay.
Clay, owned that dog, and apparently it was just one of the best coon dogs ever.
Well, we're looking him
Well,
up right now.
Like 5 months old, treated his first coon on his own.
I can believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
believe
then
that.
something else happened. He sent him off somewhere, and then he came back and he went more shit, and all he did was tree possums. So I don't know what happened. Oh, I wanted to ask y'all, on those tournaments or those competitions, do they stalk coons, or is it just free for all?
No, it's free cast. It's
Okay, yeah.
wild. It's a wild hunt.
And they don't
Hey.
kill them; they just score them. Like if you see a coon
Was,
in a tree, it's so many points.
Was that a blue tick?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Yeah. I'm looking at Uchman's Foggy Mountain Blaze, which was
Yeah,
a blue
that's
tick.
who it is.
Yeah, so he's a Uchman bred dog, so I could believe he was a pretty good dog. Yeah. Matter of
Yeah,
fact, as I'm looking that up, Jason Snellgrove, who does the Coon Hound Collective, sent me a video. I'll check that out in a little bit. But
Yeah, he told me to ask y'all if you ever heard of that dog, because him and his cousin used to hunt it all the time. And he said it was the best coon dog he'd ever been around.
I looked him up. I mean, he is.
Is it still coon hunting?
I don't know.
They don't have him no more, I don't reckon, but they still
they
coon
don't.
hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. They still
Let's see.
coon hunt.
Yeah,
He's a hook up and go with him, man.
he's a Grand Night champion, Grand champion, which means he made Grand Night in the night hunts, and Grand champion means that he is a show champion. He's a Grand show champion. So he is, he's a dual, what we would call dual Grand. He's Grand both ways.
Oh,
So yeah, I believe he's probably a pretty damn decent dog.
So Nick wouldn't lie to us.
no,
That's-
I'll just
that's
tell
pretty
Nick,
cool.
hey, you were onto something there, buddy. He could have told me anything. I don't know shit about it. I'm trying to learn. I feel like I'm learning a lot more. I'm learning some lingo here. Listen to their podcast. I could talk shit like I'm a coon hunter from way back now. Been
And that's
one
all
time
you
my
need
whole
to
life.
know. You got it. All you need to do is now talk shit, and you'll be all right.
You fake it till you make it, Ryan. Fake it till you make it.
Just go chill out in the woods, eat what I do. Find me a good spot to sit down and just hang out for a while.
Eat a
See, I-
mushroom or two.
Gather your thoughts.
Earlier today, I was laughing my ass off because you was talking about paying some guy. You had to pay some guy $20 to let you shoot a coon out of a tree because your dog
It was
tree.
him.
Oh,
Me. It was him. This is one of his special spots.
That's when he said
It was a
just
cur
like
dog I
sex.
had. I had a cur dog. Yeah.
Had-
Well, one of the
that was the one we was interviewed the Brendan Shea from Serial Spirits podcast out of West Virginia.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's the one.
Yeah, that was the guy from West Virginia. He was the one who really was going into all the woo. Now that guy Mike from Pennsylvania, you guys interviewed up in Claysville.
Mhm.
I actually used to live there. I worked at the coal mines up there, and my kids went to Claysville Elementary, so I knew that part of the area too. And he wasn't lying. There's coons galore there.
Hell yeah.
We don't have coons galore here. Not like the lower part of the state, and not like out west or the Midwest, Missouri, places like that. They're loaded. They are so loaded. I would love to have just a third of the amount of coons that they have. It's ridiculous. But I mean, you want to hear I guess one of the woo. I think to me it's woo. It's a coon hunting thing because and it led to another Tony Merkel episode. It was October of last year. I already knew I wanted to do a podcast. I knew how I wanted to do it, but I did not mean for these two to happen like this. I was listening to the episode of the Randonautica stuff. So
The devil.
I'm like, okay. I said, I'm gonna give this stuff a shot. I'm gonna download this app. And I worked on that Tuesday, I worked 12 hours, and I actually downloaded that app while I was on break. I thought about it, and I'm like, I'm gonna download this app. I got off work that night. I went coon hunting, and my dog, I'm sitting there listening. I'm sitting at my tailgate. I'm listening to her. She gets treed, and I'm fooling with this app the whole time. And I don't know if any of y'all have dabbled with the Randonaut stuff or
Don't do it.
It asks you have to it searches that you can expand or your radius that you want to search for random anomalies. So I did it in a close proximity, and it come back showing that there was an anomaly back in the same patch of woods, which is all it's a part of Sumter National Forest. There's like a old park in that area that was built by the CCC camps back in the 1930s. So, and it's kind of a weird place. There's been some murders and stuff that happened down in that park, and bodies dumped out. It's weird shit that's done went on down there.
Hell, I had some kinfolk get married down there.
We've had family reunions down there.
His name was Skeeter, I think.
Skeeter James.
Damn Skeets, that place is haunted.
Okay. I go in there and I get my dog, I shine a tree and all that good stuff. I go back to my truck and I go back out the road, and I'm debating if I want to go check out this random anomaly. I didn't. It asks you when it's doing it, to generating that thing. It asks you to focus your intention. Man, I can't recall what I was focusing my attention on. I don't know what my intentions was. I don't know. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go check this thing out. I'm gonna go check it out, what it is. So I pull up the road, and it's like 200 yards, and it comes up like a Google map type. It works off Google Maps, and it gives you like a little radius and a drop pin and everything right where you need to get to. So I go through, I park, I get out, and there's like this big hill right there, and I go up the hill, and I'm like, you know what? My dog, I didn't have her in the dog box. I had her in the passenger seat with me. She was in the passenger seat. So I go back to my truck and I get her out, because I was like, cops, somebody show up. I'm not just going to have my dog sitting in right here with me not in it. And plus, I did it for like comfort too, for myself.
Yeah.
And so I'm going into the woods.
Sacrificial dog.
And I'm trying to figure out, like, what am I going to come across? Is it going to be like, I'm looking for like Indian artifacts, an old like knife stuck in the tree. I have no idea what I'm looking for. I'm just looking. Well, when I get into this this area close to it, my dog is going crazy, and she's like hopping up in the air. She's smelling up in the air. She's just, and I'm like, man, I got to find a tree that I can leash her up to while I search the ground, look for something, whatever. And when I step foot into like right in the center of that radius where that pin is, there's a tree about 2 foot beside me. And when I step right beside it, it was too loud. I've heard hogs blow. I've heard deer blow at me at night, and whatever it was, it should have been like within arm's reach of that tree. And it's like, and it was like, dude, it still gives me chills thinking about that, because it was like I could feel. I jumped back, like I'm like, oh shit! I jumped because I felt like it was right there. And my light, it can go. If I double click my light, it's up on my head, and I click it backwards, I can get like my walking light. Or if you go forward, you get like the spot that really shines out. And man, I cut my light off. This might sound weird, but I can hear stuff better with my light off.
Yes.
If I'm just lights off, eyes closed, listen. And I cut my light off. And the very first noise that I heard of leaves rustling was off to my right, kind of back behind, not behind me, but from where that happened, it kind of would have been behind me a little bit, but it was about, oof, I don't know how far. It had to have been 40, 35, 40 yards maybe. I heard something, and then it took off. That was all I heard. I shined my light. Then I immediately spotlighted, and it blew at me twice. I never saw anything. And then when it did that, I just like, you know what? It's time for me to I started to turn my dog loose, man. I really did. And I was like, I know it's not a raccoon, whatever it is, I'm going to cut her loose and see what she'll do. But on second thought, I'm like, I'm just going to get my redneck ass back out of here. I'm just going to go. And dude, I went back out there the next day to see if there was anything I could possibly find. I made like this video. I put it on Facebook.
He called Ryan 100 times.
So, and man, to me, a lot of people will probably play that off eyes, a deer, hog, whatever it was. I've never heard anything that loud. I've never had anything blow at me that loud. And I'm thinking, what are the odds that this freaking app brought me to something that's supposed to be a random anomaly, a whatever location, and something blows at me that I've never heard before. I can't see it. My light won't shine. I have no idea what it was. But after listening to a lot of the Woo podcast, we'll say, I should have looked up. I never looked up. And that's where I think that's where I messed up. I should have looked up. And, you hear a lot of Bigfoot stories of being up, stuff like that is, well, all right, check this out. About 2 weeks later, if that, I'm in my store and there's this guy that I know him. I know where he lives, and he works for a logging company. And he come in the store and he's like, "Hey man," he said, "that you made that video about that thing that happened when you was using that app." He said, "Did it just so happen to be over near such and such place?" And I was like, "Yeah, it sure was. Why?" He's like, "Man," he said, "we've been logging over there." And he was like, he started telling me some of the stuff. They come across an old well, an old house place in a well that even the U.S. government didn't even know that well was there, because it is U.S. forestry. So nobody knew that well was there. One dude takes a rock and chucks it in the well, and he gets on a brand new piece of machinery, and the motor blows up on him. They have technicians, let people come out and look at it. And he said, man, they told him that they have never seen a brand new piece of machinery blow up like that before. Well, just so happens he said that guy and another guy come back to work talking about they was having nightmares of some type of Indian looking woman coming up out of that grave. And that one dude could like draw pictures, and he drew a picture of what he was seeing. And he said that he was waking up from nightmares that this woman was coming up out of this well and hovering over top of him. And he would wake up, and that was in his dream. And one of the other guys that was logging with him, he was like, he's like all shocked because he's like, I'm having the same dream and I'm seeing the same woman. And he was telling me, he was like, man, he said, I was sitting in my truck. He drives a truck for him. He said, I was sitting in my truck just waiting on the sun to come up. And he said, and it got up. The sun hadn't come up yet, but he said, well, you can start seeing it. If you ever been deer hunting, you kind of be like right there as the sun's starting to come up, and you can see something, but you can just see like a shadow of something.
Gray light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, man, he said, I seen something. He said, at first, he said, I couldn't tell what it was. He said, it was just squatted down. And he said, I saw it get up and walk off. It was a black figure, the best I could tell. He said, but it was 2 legs. It walked off. He said, and it was about 8 foot tall to my estimation. And he said, well, he showed me pictures of this too, where they had their landing site where they were logging in that area. Something had come in there that night before, well, whenever they had left, and had went through several trees around where their landing site was, and had notches about 8-9 feet up in the trees around them. And said the boss asked him, he's like, did y'all come in here and do this? It was like, why would we come in here with a ladder and put notches that high up in the trees? And he showed them to me. They were clear notches about 8 or 9 feet tall all around where their landing site was. And none of them was like, we didn't do it. And so I don't know how they got there, but I saw pictures of them being there. And I don't know. I mean, I can't think of anybody that would go in there, because I don't know anybody that tall, and who would go in there and do something like that while they're logging, especially when there's no, season was open, because they was logging that last season. Yeah, squirrel season was in while they was logging that, because that was in October, November.
Them damn deer hunters. Time to
So
sabotage the
yeah,
loggers.
hunting season was in while they were doing that.
So do y'all do any deer hunting?
I do.
Do you?
I deer hunt. I hunt about anything. I like rabbit hunting with dogs. I got a
hit the
squirrel
table.
dog.
Sorry, Justin, I hit the table.
Do a pretty
No,
good
you're all
job.
right.
You know?
Hey, do you boys have any local legends or folklore of giants or anything around down there? Like where we're at, we have the wood booger. That's kind of the local thing that they call our Sasquatch or Bigfoot or whatever. Do you boys
He's even got a
anything?
restaurant.
Even got a restaurant, yeah.
Oh
For
shit.
free
No.
ads.
Nah, we don't really have anything. The most popular thing from South Carolina is going to be the lizard man from Scape Swamp. That was kind of like one of the big things in the late 80s, I believe. Yeah, it was late 80s when all that happened.
Yeah. There's
We do
lizard
have,
people
like-
everywhere.
There's a mill. Well, it ain't really. It's a mill village. It's called Lydia Mill. It had the headless woman. You can look that up. I think it's on the internet. Well, I know it is.
Hmm.
And it had the happy dog.
Yeah, we talked
done a
about the happy
podcast on the
dog.
happy
That's
dog.
probably like the one that I grew up the closest listening to in our area was about the Hound of Goshen Hill. Everybody called him the happy dog.
And
I was
lived in
listening to
Lydia
that
Mill.
episode on the way home from work yesterday when y'all say it's a white dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's smiling at you, showing its teeth.
Yeah. My daddy brought me this book, and I'm looking to see if it's over there. I think he took it home with him. It's called Our Father's Fields, and there's this guy who was a professor at the University of South Carolina who bought the old William Hardy plantation, and he researched the whole history, like the stuff that come with the house, that was in the house, the history of the land, and all the way back to when it was pretty much occupied by the Cherokees, and I think it was Cherokee. They split somewhere up above us. There was like a Cherokee and something or other. They had
I'm
like
not real
I don't know
sure.
exactly. It got that, but he went way backward on that, because right in that area you got the Tiger River, Enoree River, and the Broad River in those areas, and they all eventually tie into one another. And man, he went back to like how many acres William Hardy had. Dude, he in that book, I thumbed through it. I don't know that I'll ever read it, but he actually he went and I did read the part where he interviewed a lady from over there in Maventon from in 1990, and she was like 80 something years old then, and she grew up like right after it, and she was kind of in it, and I'm pretty sure it was another guy. It's the same woman. I don't know if it's the same woman or not, but another guy told me that he was used to be babysitting. This guy's in his 70s by a woman in Maventon, and he said until the day she died, she swore that she had seen it, and she swore that it was real.
Hmm.
And that's what that guy, he interviewed that woman, and that's what she said. She swore that it was real. She swore that she'd heard it. She swore when she was a kid. She named the names of all the people that like that. There was this. Y'all want me to tell y'all the story real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give it
Yeah,
to
okay.
us.
Yeah, you might
Absolutely.
as
May as well. So there used to be this road that came from back in the, I think, late 1790s. The General Assembly of South Carolina voted to build this road from Charleston, South Carolina to Asheville, which had been in Buncombe County, and they called it the Buncombe Road.
Bump trail.
And so
Well, it was-
actually, it was like
It was a trail before they made it a road.
yeah, it became a legit like major back then. If you wanted to get from Charleston to Asheville, you was going to Buncombe Road. And so up until there was several different places along the Buncombe Road where there would be, I ain't gonna call them, they were like settlements because there was Mabenton and then you had Goshen Hill. They were kind of like right side by side. At one time, Mabenton had a post office, and I want to say Goshen Hill had a post office. But now they're like one and the same to me because just driving through it. It's just out in the country now. But over time, the land got over farmed, a lot of over farmed, and pretty much the Civil War put the chokehold, and that road just became unused. That old lady in that book, she said that the trees would die and fall across the road, and nobody would come and take it off. And eventually, people just forgot about that old road, and the South was pretty much decimated after the Civil War, and their land was stripped, and they had done cotton, tilled it, and pretty much stripped all the topsoil off of it. It was bad land after that time. But around 1850, the legend says that there was a traveler that was coming. I don't know if he was coming or going, don't know, but he showed up in the Goshen Hill area. And just about that time, there was this brutal murder that happened. And of course, the people that was living there, they blamed this guy who was coming in as a peddler. And they said that he had this big white shaggy dog with him. And they blamed him. They prosecuted him and hung him later to find out shortly thereafter that it wasn't him that done it. And there's two parts of the legend that says that he was left hanging, and the hound stayed there and howled until somebody come and put the hound out of his misery, or that one day they both disappeared at the same time. But then around 1855, this ghost hound shows up when this guy William Hardy, who that professor owns that plantation house now. He restored it and everything. Well, William Hardy's family had owned that for, I think they were like the second legit owners after a land treaty, and King George started divvying out. I think it was King George. He started divvying out land to different people. The Hardy family were the second owners of that. So William Hardy gets sick, and he's going to send one of his servants named Ben to go get Dr. Douglas. Well, Dr. Douglas, Ben says when he's on his way, all of a sudden this white dog comes out and is following him, and it's like this ghost dog, and it has a standoff, and it said,
It's got red glowing eyes.
yeah, he had red glowing eyes. And at one point in time, they was chasing the mule, and here's a little part of the story. William Hardy raised racing mules, and in like 1840 something, won the Mabenton Racing Mule Horse Race of the Year or something. I meant the Mule Race of the Year. So he had racing mules. But apparently he told Ben not to overheat the mule because of the ride and so forth. Well, he comes rolling in hot to Dr. Douglas's house on this mule and yelling and that he needed help, and this he was just going crazy. Dr. Douglas said that he had heard him yelling before he even got to the house, calling for help. And old Ben said that that dog hopped up on his back and hopped up on the mule's back and was breathing down his neck, and it terrified him. Well, then
Had a shit all over the place.
he probably did too, truth be told. That just didn't make it in the story. And
That
it's
mule would
like,
have been hot and smelly.
but they didn't know what to make of it, and so Dr. Douglas had an encounter that said it caused him to give Haints a new consideration. So if you really look at it, it caused Dr. Douglas his paradigm to shift a little bit because he had that run-ins. And the doctor that took over, I think his name was Dr. Cofield, he took over after Dr. Douglas retired. And Dr. Cofield had the most encounter with it. He claimed that he had several encounters with the ghost hound of Goshen Hill while making his rounds on horseback and so forth. And there's been few people claim that they've seen, heard things over there over the years. I've never seen anything. I've never heard anything like that over there. But
His line, we heard coyotes tonight. We went over there.
well,
That's not
They
what.
almost
we,
ate us.
Oh gosh.
I kind of knew where the old Douglas house place was. So we was coon hunting a few weeks ago, and we come back and I was like, screw it, man. I'm going to go over there. We're going to find it. And it's like right at midnight. And honestly, it was full of all kind of weird
Yes.
things that happened when we got over there.
We pulled up to it, man. Stopped the truck. I had my window down, letting some air out. But we pulled up, stopped the truck, and there was a squirrel barking like in the middle of the night. Like squirrels ain't out in the middle of the night.
You
And I was like,
hear
no.
that.
I said, dude, just pull off. I was like, trying to tell us, don't do it.
Squirrels
Don't
don't even
do it.
act right over here. That's
Hey, so we get up there on top of this hill up in the woods looking for it, and coyotes start howling like in front of us and back behind us. And they wasn't that far, maybe like 150.
Dude, that was a pack.
They was pretty close, which don't really bother us that bad. Well,
yeah,
about the time that I found this damn old house place, it ain't nothing but the chimneys left standing there. As
which
soon
are
as I
still
find
cool.
it, I look and there's eyes like everywhere. I was like, holy shit, cuz they're about to try us. I ain't never had a coyote get closer. I'm like, these motherfuckers are gonna try us. I was like, look at them. Look at them. They're fucking everywhere. So we're standing there, and all of a sudden they start running all around and shit. It was just deer. It wasn't coyotes.
I'm about to punch this coyote in the face.
What made it weird is the deer didn't pay the coyote any attention, which is weird. They
That's
were focused on us the whole time. They
Yep.
were focused on us and never paid the coyotes any attention.
It was like everything was telling us to get the hell out of there.
yeah.
But I came
Huh.
out of there with one of them pre-Civil War bricks, and they're huge bricks, man. I'm talking about like they're big bricks, and right on the side of it, I didn't know it till I got home. I got to looking at it because I told Ryan, I was like, "There's no way in hell I'm leaving out from here without one of these bricks." I was like, "This brick was made before the Civil War, dog." I was like, "Cause this house was built."
It's probably that brick was probably built right there where that house was.
You can still see there's fingerprint indentions of like 2 or 3 fingers I can fit on one side and a thumb on the other side where it was handmade and they just like set it. So there's fingerprint indentions in it.
So they made those bricks
Wow.
out of clay, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's a red brick, but it was, which we got a lot of red dirt around here anyway. So it was probably made local.
Well, down there on base, you know, it's like 17,000 acres is that base. Well, there's a part that's open, you know, like it's not fenced in, and it runs into there's a fence between what's it called, Francis Marion National Forest.
Yeah.
There's a fence between the base and that, but not like you would think. It's just a chain link fence. But now, so on base, there's hogs, gators, there's everything running around there. But now, way back in there is the slave graveyard where they buried the slaves and where the slaves used to live. And they have clay pits back there where they used to mine the clay to make those bricks and everything. You can drive back there and look. I mean, it's overgrown now. It ain't just clay, it's leaves and grass and weeds, but these big pits down the ground where they would mine that clay out. Slaves would mine that clay out and make those bricks.
Man, I can get you within about 10 miles from here to an old slave pit in the Sumter National Forest.
It's where they used to, like, coming up from Charleston, it was a pit where they put them down in, like, overnight.
We ain't condoning all this. We're just
Oh,
telling you
yeah. It happened.
But yeah, it's like right there. There's an area called the Brick House right down the road, and it used to be an old plantation house. And
It's
right
at least
there,
15 foot deep now, and it's
Yeah.
probably got, ain't no telling,
man, it's like
10 foot filled in
it's-
with leaves and shit.
in the ground. That's when it gets up about ground level. Everything from there down is slick. It is slick. If you get in, you're not getting out without help.
And
At all.
it's like
And
rock wall.
There's
It's like
a rock wall that
it's rock
comes
up.
up.
It's like
up.
mortar and rock.
Yeah, because it's rock
Man.
wall pit, but it's
The name of the road that it's on, Slave Pit Road.
Oh,
Well,
that's what
that's
they've always called it.
pretty-
That's what we call it anyway.
That's what it is.
Is it
Yeah.
on the garment like that?
Yeah, no, that's on a sign like that. Good when you pull onto it. It's called Slave Pit Road.
I ain't paid that no.
Yeah, there's a sign.
I go
on it.
down there all the time, and I've never paid that
It's
sign
got-
any
It's got a
attention.
little sign on it.
see, on base you can deer hunt, and they have certain days you can dog hunt for deer, and then certain days you just deer hunt out of a stand, But now you gotta check. It's a pain in the ass. I never did it because you gotta check in, go to the stand that you pick if nobody else ain't picked it, and then when you leave, you gotta go check back out because they have people responsible for you, and if you don't, they'll be looking for you all night, pissed off. But it's the same thing back there. Like the slaves were housed back there. There's a graveyard back there where the slaves are buried. What I'd like to do if it wasn't government property is take a couple of metal detectors back there and just see what you could find that they might have left behind, little pieces of history.
Well, you could probably just tell them you wanted to go back there. And let them check around a little bit.
Well, it's not far from there. The EOD detonates bombs and shit, so they're pretty active in that area. So
Man, on that, one of the guys on our cast last night, we was kind of introducing ourselves right there as we got drawn out, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know who you are. You do that podcast." I was like, oh, "Okay, that's cool. You know who I am." We ended up talking. He was pretty cool. He was our judge, really. And after it was over with, his dog was looking at the Garmin because most people will run a Garmin. It's like a GPS collar, the handheld. It's going to tell you what a dog is wherever the dog is, or like on a topo map or bird's eye view map, whatever. And after the hunt was over with, I was having to get my dog up, and he was having to go find his dog, and he was showing me where it was at on his Garmin. And I was like, "Man, just drive down through here and go down this road right here." I was like, "I've never been down it because people live on it, but I just go down there and see," because his dog was like right on Duncan Creek, and he ended up having to go all the way around the town that I'm from, Whitmire. He ended up having to go all the way around through there and coming in, and because Duncan Creek was so flooded right now from all the rain we've been getting lately. And he called me. He was like, "Dude," he said, "this road that I came down, it dead ends right into a graveyard." And I'm like, "What? For real?" I said, "You ain't scared, are you?" And he was like, "I'm not hollering for my dog in this graveyard." He said, "Unless you want a story for your podcast," he said, "I suggest when you get your dog, you can come over here and help me holler." He's like, "But I'm not about to start hollering in this graveyard by myself."
You should have said, "Heck yeah, you're gonna start hollering right now. We're getting that story for the podcast."
yeah.
Yeah, I tried to, man. I got my dog real quick. I got her and I hauled Bud over there. I actually rode over there to check that graveyard out. I was like, I got to see it. And it does. That road, it goes down through the woods and it dead ends. Like they're scattered out through the trees and it dead ends. There's like headstones everywhere right there. And I was like, man, I've lived here all my life and I never knew this graveyard was here. And I love old graveyards. I love old graveyards.
Yeah, dude, that's something. Graveyards have never freaked me out. Growing up as a kid, we would go up on the mountain every Easter for my dad's mom, her side of the family, and they'd get all the banjos and mandolins and be picking music. Well, while we're down there listening to them, the adults would go up on the hill in the graveyard and hide all the eggs for us kids to go find. We'd be running around the graveyard hunting Easter eggs. So that's that kind of shit's never bothered me. But
Yeah, it's to me, it's never. Maybe I'm just weird like that. I don't know. Graveyards
No,
have
you weird for sure.
you weird. I mean,
everybody has to be a little bit weird, or the world would be real boring.
dude, I'll tell you,
True
I mean,
that.
I've never told anybody, our audience, this, and now I guess I'm gonna tell y'all and the whole, all y'all's audience, man. When I was 8, I was in a car wreck. My mom, it was me and my brother, my mom. We were going down I-26 toward Orangeburg, and before you get into Orangeburg, there's a rest area, and right before that, there was a place called National Welders, and just so happened, I say this was in '88. I was 8 years old. My brother would have been 5. This guy at National Welders released the gas by accident that should have instantly dissipated in the air, but since it was overcast and rainy, it set over the interstate like a white cloud. And I was asleep, and I remember my mom waking me up, and everything was extremely like a cloud, nothing but a cloud. It was thickest white you would ever want to try to look through. And my mom kept asking me, "Can I get over? Can I get over?" And I looked, and the best I could see, I thought I could remember vaguely seeing vehicles all beside us, and it should have been the emergency lane. There shouldn't have been any vehicles there, but I swear to this day, I seen vehicles lined up. The next thing I know, there was like a boom, there was a bam. We got hit by 18-wheeler, then another 18-wheeler, and on that third bam, I got knocked out. So my mom, she got jacked up really, really bad. My brother, he got killed. He died instantly. So, but when I came to, everything, the glass was shattered. The windshield was like puzzle pieces, blood all over it. My side was completely empty, and I just started hollering for help. And there was a black guy come running across the interstate. I made eye contact with him. He come and pulled me out of the car, and I had to keep my wits about me as 8 years old, at an 8-year-old, and I had to give them my dad's phone number, which we didn't have cell phones back then. My mom and dad were separated at the time, and I had his phone number memorized, and he worked for Mack Truck, but I had to give them all that information and stuff like that. But I don't know. Here recently, I just kind of have that nagging feeling that when it's hard for, I've heard people talk about it, having like a memory come back from out of nowhere, just years later. And I've kind of had one or two of those here recently. Like I can remember rushing back toward that white cloud and waking up like from being knocked out. It's like I can just remember, and then I have this distinct brief memory of like knowing that I wasn't in my body, and that's all I can remember. That's it. And I'll be honest, man. I believe I've seen my guardian angel. I believe that black guy was some type of guardian angel, because I think I've actually seen him one time before, years later. And in a time of, since we've been doing this podcast, really, and we just started in January, and we had a guy talking about guardian angels and stuff in one of them, and I was like, God, have I ever seen my guardian angel? And I had an event happen in Greenville, downtown Greenville, South Carolina. Was eating, and I come out of this restaurant, and I locked eyes with this guy, this black guy on the opposite side of this. Downtown Greenville's pretty busy. There's a lot of people that will walk up and down those roads and go shopping and all that stuff. And I locked eyes on this black guy, and man, this thought came in my head: is he's gonna come up to you and ask for money, give him food. And I'm like, no way. So my wife and we coming out, and I got this plate of food left over, and I'm walking, and this guy comes up to me directly. I'm talking about he crosses the road and comes straight to me and asks for money. And I'm like, I don't have money, dude, but I got this plate of food right here. I'll be happy to let you have. And he was like wearing camo and stuff. And this was probably 10 years ago. I give him that food, and Ryan and I, we were going to a meeting at the Coon Club, I think it was, and I was going down the road, and I've been thinking over this for like 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, God, if there's a guardian angel, let me see it. And both of those events with that black guy when I was a kid and that guy in Greenville, both of them interlocked like I was looking at it in two movies on top of each other, where he came across the road, locked eyes with me, and came directly to me. And it was like I almost felt like God was telling me, "You've seen him twice now."
That's
I don't know if
nice.
that's just me being woo woo weird like that, but that's my gut feeling. I felt like I may have seen, if there's a such thing as a guardian angel, I seen it twice. So, you know,
Wow.
that's
That's I mean, not trying to cut you off there or anything, but that's
That's awesome. Listen,
well, I mean the accident, that's I hate to hear about
Yeah.
that. That's tragic, that's terrible.
I think that's
But
kind of led to my where death has never bothered me, none in my life. Like I've always felt like if it's my time to go, I've been blessed with more years than my brother had and people I went to school with, and it's just death
yeah.
has never bothered me.
that's a
But-
really healthy outlook, because that's not my outlook. Like, don't you take me yet, Jesus. I got shit to do. That's I've always, my prayer, honestly, every day when I pray, what I say to the good Lord is, let me at least meet my grandkids. That's all I say.
Well,
I
he was
don't, and
saying-
if I can't, that's fine. But let me at least meet my grandkids. That's what I always pray.
So right beside his store is like a shop. They got a lift vehicles up in there. He had his son's Jeep lifted up in there, up underneath it, working on
This
it.
was Monday.
And I was like, dude, you need to put them jack stands underneath it. Because I'd have been about killed by a damn lawnmower before like this without a jack stand underneath it.
That'd
It's
be a
something to kill you.
terrible
He
way
said,
to go.
nah, it's okay, cuz I'm fine with it if it does. And I was like, well, damn.
This
I
was,
said,
this was Monday. He was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?"
I
Okay.
said, are you sure? He said, yeah. I said, well, can I have your dogs? I kind of need a new dog box.
No, it's in my will. They get buried with me, you bastard.
No, he said, I can have them.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, I was like, whatever, I said, talk to my son, whichever, y'all work it out amongst yourselves, but I could care less.
No.
But anyway, that's just kind of me I just have a weird, I guess I have a different outlook on stuff because you never know what somebody else can really understand what they've been through unless you've been through like certain circumstances. You can't put yourself in the same mindset of certain person a lot of times until you experience those same type of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
Right.
perfect sense. It really does.
So I gotta ask, because I don't listen to podcasts. Have y'all ever had any crazy shit happen to y'all?
You listen to his story.
I mean, I've listened to some of them.
No,
I
you-
can't remember hell.
he had to like that. You remember?
You
there
heard
was
his
the
story?
Shadow Man. Oh, you
Oh.
wanted to ask him because he said he blacked out, and you were like, "Well, what the hell happened to him? They don't remember getting to the bottom of the mountain." Like, do you not remember? Like, did his wife just pick him up and put him in the car or something?
Hey, we gotta go back through that, man. Like, my memory's
No,
terrible.
I can tell you whenever it happened, I don't know if it was just because of what was going on and then just raw primitive, as a dad and you see this thing kind of hovering over your baby.
I do remember this shit now. Yeah, I do. I know exactly what we're talking about now. Takes
I
me
I don't know if
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
pot timers.
You got CRS that can't remember shit.
Yeah.
that's all right. My Ryan don't remember half the stuff we talk about on this podcast either.
Honestly, he'll talk about something that, honestly, Lance actually has been talking about something forever. And I heard these other guys talking about it the other day, and I went to Justin. I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. He's like, Lance has mentioned that for like, I don't know, a year now. I'm like, don't remember. Like, never, don't recall.
Never
But
heard of it.
What
Never
is it?
heard of
Terraria.
Tartaria.
Terraria.
Ryan.
I want to say
Terraria.
Terraria, but that's a video game Ashton plays.
Yeah,
A
like,
terrarium
man,
is where your lizards stay.
Yeah.
yeah. Dude, I can go down any of them rabbit trails y'all want. I love talking about this stuff. Nephilims, Tartaria. Oh, I love all that stuff. And I try to take
Well-
a biblical world view about it. because I hear a lot of stuff on like I hear a lot of stuff on Sam Tripoli's, and I'm like, I'm wanting to debate these people. If they're coming like they come at Jesus in all kind of different angles, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not the best Christian in by any means in the world, but I do believe the Bible, and I feel like it's they never take Jesus from a biblical aspect of who Jesus is with Sam Tripoli. Even though I love the show, I love the topics, I love it, but they very rarely have somebody on there who has a true biblical perspective in their mindset.
Well, I think that's with a lot of things. And me and you are cut from the same cloth, Daniel. Every one of these podcasts that you've mentioned, I'm a big time fan of and listener of, a lot of stuff. But I think that's kind of the thing with almost everything, right? I mean, you look at it from, the occult side of things, or the ancient alien side of things, or the evolutionist side of things, or the modern science side of things, even so much as like Graham Hancock's new Ancient Apocalypse series on Netflix. There's a lot of things like you start talking about these ancient civilizations like Graham does. You start talking about these pre-Diluvian and post-Diluvian cultures, and you talk about all these cultures having this great flood myth, and then directly afterwards you have this sage that walks into the place and brings this knowledge and all this different stuff, and it's like you get right there to the point where, well, yeah, it tells us in the Bible that fallen angels came and they interacted with man. Genesis 6 tells us that they took the daughters of man as their wives and taught them, and a lot of other.
The sons of God came into the daughters of man.
Yeah.
So that tells me two different species of things interacting with each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
why wouldn't they say the sons of man and the daughters of man, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but you look at the whole Genesis 6 thing, it does tell us a lot that we did have fallen angels come and share, at least whatever side you look at, because there are a lot of opposing viewpoints just about Genesis 6. I mean, there really is. There's a lot of different viewpoints on a lot of different things, but you look at all these different people, and like it's you just want to scream it sometimes, like, look, it's there's biblical basis for that. Like, it explains it right here that we can explain away a lot of these different things, and you have these really top-notch, super intelligent people that are putting in all this work, as far as these ancient monoliths and these structures and all these people, and how did we have just this great jump in technology and intellect and all this different stuff? Well, the Bible tells us it's just that, do you want to believe that? I mean, it's one of those, it's a faith-based thing, just like you were talking about not being afraid to die. Yeah, of course, you obviously went through your own personal experiences that you're grateful for the time that you've had on this earth. But at the same time, I feel like being concrete and solid in your faith, that's how you feel anyway. If you believe the Bible, if you believe that Jesus is who he says he is, and that there's the place waiting for us that there is when we do, take our last breath here. Yeah, I mean, there's things that I'm going to hate to miss if my time comes tomorrow. I'd love to see my kids grow up. I'd love to share these memories with them. I'd love to do all this different stuff, but I know where I'm going to be. I mean, I'm with you. Like, I don't want it.
I'm still hoping purgatory exists.
Right,
Ron, if it exists, I'll see you there, buddy.
Hey, and no, man, ancient aliens, they played a part in it. They played a part in a lot of my, when I was questioning things about the pyramids and stuff like that. The ancient aliens kind of was getting in my head a little bit and making me, but it was ancient aliens that also brought me to a realization, because they was talking about this ancient god of Dagon, where they had found statues of Dagon all the way down into parts of Africa that they didn't know that that deity had extended into. And
Yep.
when I heard that, I remembered, where have I heard Dagon before? I went straight to the Old Testament and I knew where I had heard Dagon before, because I don't remember which, if he was a Philistine deity or which one it was. That I would have to go back and search real quick. But he was a deity, and they had captured the Ark of the Covenant, and they brought the Ark of the Covenant in the same place where the statue of Dagon was. And then the next morning, when the priest came in, Dagon was laying down in front of the statue. I mean, in front of the Ark of the Covenant. They set it back up. The next day they came in, the statue of Dagon was laying down in front of the Ark of the Covenant with his head chopped off. That's when I knew these deities that they were worshipped are not ancient aliens. That's when I knew. I was like, nope. And that's kind of when I went down to Dr. Mike Heiser. I love everything he's ever written. I'm like, right there, I agree 100%. And then with the whole Gary Wayne stuff, I'm like, all this stuff is making sense. And I don't think you can, unless you put Genesis 3 with the seed, pretty much the seed wars, because God declares that one seed will have warfare with the other seed, the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman, and that the seed of the serpent would crush his heel, but the seed of the woman would crush his head.
Yep.
And so you go all the way back to Genesis 3, and you get this seed war, and then you have Genesis 6, where this seed actually comes into manifestation, and through these Nephilim, the Nephilim, and then you see it again after the flood, and so everything started clicking in my head. Is like it all started making sense with the ancient civilizations, the giants. I didn't put the Bible in. I never really questioned it. I just felt like it omitted it. But then I started realizing it's right there, and you start reading the Bible completely different after that. And like Dustin and I, we hold different opinions about I hold to that there are elemental spirits, and that Paul, when he said the elemental spirits, he actually meant elemental spirits, not like the foundational basic things. And I don't know about Ryan. He just goes along for the ride. And
Yeah.
You're about like me when I get to talking about this stuff, Ryan. I just try to keep up, buddy.
yeah,
I've researched some of it. Now, the elemental spirits I can tell you a little bit about because of a book I read. There's red, green, blue, and yellow. Red be the salamanders, the blue are the water. Of course, red's fire. Green was the dwarves, I want to say, or the little the Keeblers. And then the yellow was something else, but I don't know, man. I would have to see that stuff. Like,
here's my thing. I put it like this with Jesus. When they were in the boat and the wind and the waves was about to overtake the boat, and they come woke Jesus up and they said, Jesus, and he goes out. And what did it say he did? It said he rebuked the wind. So therefore, I know that the wind is not sent by God the Father. It's not an act of God, quote unquote, because Jesus would never rebuke the Father. So therefore, he's rebuking the wind, and he spoke to the waves and said, peace be still. So he spoke to the wind and he spoke to the water. And as soon as they get to the other place where they're going to, he comes in contact with the guy who has full of demons named Legion, and those demons get cast into the pig. So in all aspects of that journey, getting across that lake from point A to point B, he encountered something that was, I feel like, was elemental spirits of the wind and the water, that storm that was trying to overtake them from getting to that place. Because Jesus, he wanted to follow Jesus. He tells Jesus, he's wanting to follow him. And he told him to go back to Decapolis and
Said Jesus wanted to follow Jesus.
that guy wanted to follow Jesus. My bad. I got a little tongue tied. Jesus. Sounds like Ralphie May over there. And so, yeah. Well, the next time you get to Decapolis, they've already heard of Jesus. but you have nobody mention of anybody else going to preach the gospel of Jesus, but the man who he cast out the legion of demons out of into the pigs. So I can't say that he was the evangelist that went out and into Decapolis and proclaimed Jesus, but that's the only one that you're going to see where it was proclaimed. I'm pretty sure other people, travelers, had heard the name by then and stuff, but I just look at that a little different, and I'm like, that was not a regular storm that they encountered. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, I think that's a super interesting take, and I've actually never even thought about it along those terms. But you talking about, the Bible does state he rebukes the wind. So I mean, that's a really interesting take. It makes me want to jump into it and start studying it again right now. There was something you hit on right there that I had a question. Dude, my brain is so foggy right now. This freaking
Well, if you
flu.
can't think of it, I got a question I was thinking about today. Because, we bringing up the Bible and then bringing up certain things when I was talking about, like, thou shalt not kill. And everybody's like, well, original translation is thou shalt not murder. Because I posed the question, Daniel, if as Christians, should we be pro capital punishment or not?
oh,
Because
I
it
have
says
mixed
thou
feelings
shalt
about it.
not kill.
I really
They-
have mixed feelings about capital punishment. That one is a touchy subject, man, especially being in the South, dude.
Yeah.
You're trying to
Cool hard.
get you're just trying to get everybody mad at Daniel like they're mad at us.
No, they were just mad at me.
We cold hard around here. We'll kill them.
Hell, Texas has got an express lane.
I have mixed feelings about that, man. I'm kind of for it and I'm kind of against it, because in essence, you're putting somebody else's life in somebody else's hands. Now, like, how many people have been put to death that actually didn't do what they were put to death for?
Yeah.
Okay, take that into account. Or somebody caught in the midst of committing pedophilia, I'd say take them out right then and there. That's
I think there should be an
Preach.
island where we put serial killers on there and let them hunt those guys personally.
Well, the government
as
has those islands. They don't have serial killers. They just
they
hunt
don't
them.
hunt them. They just pay to go there.
No, they
Right.
no. You got two different versions.
Yeah, we're
pay
talking
to
about
go there.
Epstein Island here, right?
They pay to
That's-
go there and hang out with them, and then you got other ones that they'll pay to hunt, like missing people. It's a deep dive. Go on.
But the point I was getting to is, they'll say, well, it didn't say thou shalt not kill. The original version was thou shalt not murder. Okay. And then the original version says this. The original version says, well, in Revelations, it says don't change a word, right?
Yeah.
So
John
why
14
are we reading the book we're reading if everything's changed? It doesn't mean the same thing.
I know what dude. I agree, man. Some of the translations, you can
It's
get into so many
translated to Greek
debates
first,
over
right?
translations.
Well,
Yeah, but
it
you
was
got
from Hebrew to Latin, and Latin to Greek, and Greek to English, and that's the thing. It's. I don't think it's so much that the Council of Nicaea, whatever thought you have on that, but I believe when God states in the Word that His Word will not be added to or taken away from, even if it comes in time, like say such as something with the Dead Sea Scrolls. And Lance, I'd like to get your opinion on this too. But
Yeah,
even eventually, like with the founding of the Dead Sea Scrolls, if that's stuff that no, it's not canon, but they were found for a reason. They were found for a purpose, and they're legit. Like they're not just like, okay, somebody stashed this here. They're all fake. Now the authorship you can question, all these different things you can question, but the problem is it's just like anything with languages. If you're talking linguistics, things are going to get lost in translation. They just are.
Let me interject this, since you mentioned Council of Nicaea. Pretty much 99% of everything I've heard on other podcasts about the Council of Nicaea has been straight up fabricated, a bunch of bull crap. Really, my honest opinion. They never really take into account what really happened at Council of Nicaea. They say, oh, well, they decided what was going to be in the Bible. They you know, that's when they decided Jesus was God and this and that. And I'm like, that was a topic that was brought up because Gnosticism was being brought up. And I felt like the early church put Gnosticism to bed where it should have been at that time frame. And it was only brought up because of like one dude, and I can't remember his name, but he was teaching this Gnostic doctrine, and that's what led to the Council of Nicaea. What do these scriptures say? What do they say? And then, you know, they go into the authorship of what is canon and what's not, and why it's canon and why it's not. And when you have like early church fathers who were disciples of a disciple of a disciple who attest to, yes, this was written by Matthew. Yes, this was written by John. Yes, this was written by Paul. You were only 3 people away from original authorship attesting to the original authorship. And so yeah, the book of Enoch and the apocryphal books, that's a different subject other than the books that we have. You know, if we had original text, original copies, and could attest to authorship of Enoch, yeah, maybe so. Do we know it was highly read? Yes, we do. Jude even quotes from it. And
Jude
so,
and Peter.
yeah, Jude and Peter. So I do hold it to a certain place of gaining knowledge from. But you know, I didn't mean to interrupt you and all that.
No,
but
no,
I
no,
just
no,
feel
no.
like,
You're good.
the whole what you hear about the Council of Nicaea on most other podcasts is not going to be anything remotely close to what the Council of Nicaea actually was.
Yeah. Well, you know, I look at that too. Like, again, the Book of Enoch is something that there's so much controversy about, and so many different people, and we've we'll have an episode coming up here about the middle of January that's going to be fire about the Book of Enoch. But
And Joe, man, he's you know, Joe
you
Tom.
You wasn't supposed to tell it yet.
Oh, Jesus
Gosh,
Christ. We've
what
had
if it
him
don't
on here
work out?
before.
What if it don't work out? Now we're
Well,
gonna
then we'll
get
be like,
everybody's hopes up.
sorry, I said Joe before, but guess what? It didn't work out. You never knew what you even missed because it never happened.
I'm truly sorry.
Anywho, before we keep having church service, let's talk about coon hunting.
yeah. I love
Ryan about fell, he dozed off twice. I can see it's like church.
I took a nap.
Well, no. I want to say something real quick before we move on. Something real quick. I want to finish it off here. You can look at it 2 different ways. Jude and Peter respected the Book of Enoch and used it as enough to quote from it, or you take a modern day church father. You know, think about somebody that's in the church right now that you look up to the most and line up your beliefs with the most. They're writing books, they're preaching sermons, they're doing all this and that, and say they pull a movie quote and use it for a sermon illustration. It's not a lot different. I mean, they're just using media of the time to put here, and you could look at it 2 different ways. That's the thing with all of this. And that's why I love getting into these conversations, because they're so open. They're so open. Now we can move on, Ryan.
You
if
just
you would
put
like
it
to
in
move
my
on.
head of a pastor standing up there like quoting Tommy Boy or something. And the Lord said, son of a, that's going to leave a mark.
You don't think Tommy Boy's ever, if you don't think,
hey,
Right about the time they nailed that first nail. That's
if you don't think Tommy Boy's ever been using a sermon illustration, I guarantee you're wrong.
it's got
hey, I
to.
tell you, my daddy told me when he was younger, he'd have dreams about being up in front of at the pulpit preaching, and he was like, nobody was getting saved, and he'd get mad, and he was like, "Oh yeah, some bitches are going to hell." he said he started cussing about in his dream. He's like, "You miserable sons of bitches, all y'all going to hell." He had us rolling over here a couple weeks ago talking about that. It was so funny.
Well, Ryan, I want to know, Ryan, have you had any weird things go on? I mean, you do a lot of time hunting, you spend a lot of time in the woods. What kind of
I had
weird?
something last year. So me and my buddy was standing at the back of the truck listening for the dog. And we were standing there and I was looking up in the sky and I seen what I thought was a star. And I was like, man, that star looks like it's getting brighter and brighter. And finally it went out and I was like, holy shit. And then it come back on and I was like, I am fucking tripping. And it started getting brighter and brighter. So finally I told my buddy, I was like, hey, cuz, I said, come over here and look at this shit so I know I ain't tripping. And he started laughing. And he was like, oh, hell. So he got over there. I was like, you see that star right there? He's like, yeah. He's like, damn, it's bright. And I was like, but it's getting brighter, ain't it? He's like, yeah. I said, now watch this. I turn my Coon light, shine my light on it, and it go out. Turn my light off, and then it would slowly get brighter. It start coming back on, and it get brighter and brighter. But when I shined my light on it and it went out, you could see whatever it was. Like, it wasn't no star. It wasn't that high up in the air.
He had a video of it. He showed it to me. You can see it flicker back on.
Yeah, and then they come back on and do that again. We watched this shit for 10, 15 minutes do this. And I thought I seen it move one time. And right there at the end, he was like, holy fucking shit, it just moved. It just fucking moved.
We gotta go.
Yeah. Now we walked on in there to the dog and come back.
That's
We
some.
do
That's,
have go
that's
ahead.
some John Keel Point Pleasant stuff there. That's what John Keel used to play with UFOs on the Point Pleasant Mountain. He just shine lights at them. They play peekaboo back and forth.
It was weird, man. He
That's
recorded a
kinda-
video and showed it to me.
interacted with me. I still have the video.
That's
Hey,
wild.
you know, we have a story that we haven't even told on our podcast yet because we was gonna get the other guy that he lives right down the road from me. We was all me and
Oh,
and
yeah.
Ryan and that other guy. How long ago you say that's been?
Hell, I was probably,
That's been it's
I
been
was
a long
probably
time.
15, 16 years old.
You had that cur dog then. You had Jackson. Jackson was
Oh,
a
no,
puppy.
hell, I was probably 18 years old then. I was probably about 18.
And so there's this big. It's like it's a government road, but it's like
It's a big field in it.
they plant it every year, and then it gets this time of the year is nothing but grass. All the corn and stuff it's gone. They just plant stuff in there for wildlife. But it's a long field straightaway, and we'll go out there and play with young dogs, with a coon and a roll cage, try to get them interested and turn the coon loose and see if the dog wants to trail it, and if the dog don't want to fool with it, then we just
We eat the dog.
we just relocated another coon. And dude, we was back at the tailgate, and man, we looked down on the far end of this field, and we're all like, what is that? And there's just like a ball of light rising up, and
Above the tree line.
yeah,
Like,
but you can see it come like rise up, and it's like right at a tree line, and it goes up in the air, and
and
it
then all of a
started.
sudden it just goes really fast and disappears.
It's gone.
Straight up though. It didn't like curve off to the side or nothing. It was just straight up.
It was weird.
The fella that was
Don't know
with
what
us
that
was
was.
older. And he was like, what in the hell was that? We was like, it's a fucking UFO, cuz what that was.
Well, I don't know what. We didn't know what it was. It was weird. It was some type of orb or something, because of course it's hard to tell distance from the size of what it actually was from a long distance away. But to me, it kind of looked like maybe softball size, something like that.
Dang.
And it didn't illuminate the ground around it. It didn't emit light out from it. It just was a
What
ball
color
of light,
was it?
like a brightish, like a yellowish color,
Like
like
Yeah.
a bulb almost, about like the color of
a street light.
a old school, like an old school light, not the LED white light, but an older, like a yellowish orangey bulb like color.
Hmm.
It was weird. And then
Flashlights in the 90s.
one night we were I actually had the same older guy with me. His name's Percy. Well, his real name's Keith, but we all call him Percy.
No, his real name's Percy.
know
Nobody
how-
knows him by Keith.
It was me and Percy and Ryan's cousin Devin. We had been coon hunting. We was back at the truck, was at the tailgate, and probably 6 months or so, right in that area. There's a rest area on I-26, not far from where we live. It's like right down the interstate because I live 2 miles from I-26. Ryan lives like maybe a mile.
I live half mile by the way the crow flies.
Yeah, by if you was to like go straight line, but we there was a bad wreck on the interstate, and the medevac left and actually ended up going down and crashing not long after it got up, and it crashed over there in those woods. So we're down in there, we're hunting, we knocked the coon out, we had it on the tailgate. Devin goes over there and he had like a little puppy, and he kind of like showed it the tail or something like that, and it was trying to nab at it, and it starts drizzling. And then we're like, Percy's parked in front of me, and we're standing in between 2 trucks, just chit chatting, whatever. And all of a sudden, his passenger door comes flying open, his lights come on, and he leans forward. And he's like, "What the hell?" And I'm already reaching in my pocket to get my keys, and I went and got in my truck, and I was like, "It's time to go, dude." And it was years before I went hunting down there again. It was years.
You know
So,
what?
wow.
I heard a story on a podcast, Justin. You've had to have heard this one. I can't remember who did it, but they were talking about, maybe it was on Wes's podcast, Bigfoot or Sasquatch Chronicles. But that guy was talking about those things that kept messing with his truck because he just bought that brand new truck, and they kept like blowing the horn or setting off the alarm and all that. And that guy
That
told him
was,
they messed with your truck.
That was that Navajo guy that was talking about the little people.
Yes.
And how the little people would come and interact out of their when they were out of their home turf, that they would be really mischievous and like play pranks and do all this different stuff. But when you were in their home turf, like they were really uniform and like, you know, not playing a whole lot of tricks they expected you to do. But so that's one thing that would happen to him. Like he would go to this house all the time, and these little people that were actually small enough to where they could like jump into the engine harnesses and stuff in the truck and pull wires and mess with junk. And like the first couple times it was happening, he was freaking out about it, not knowing what was going on. Well, whoever he was visiting was this, I can't remember if it was an older man or woman.
It's a man.
But
what was this on? I want to listen to this.
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was an episode of Sasquatch Chronicles. I'll try to find it and send it your way. But it was pretty interesting. This guy that was on there, he had all kinds of stories, but this is just one of them. But yeah, it was just like the person that was there at the home, this elderly person was just like, don't pay them no mind. That's just the little people. They ain't gonna hurt nothing too bad. You know, they'll mingle with it and be on their way. So it's weird stuff, man.
He was talking, he said they're mostly curious or something like that.
Yeah.
They don't mean no harm or nothing like, or they're just mischievous. I can't remember what it was.
Hey, didn't Snake have some stuff happen to his truck too? We had him on a couple months ago. Kind of, I don't think it was little people, but it was kind of a very similar situation in which they were out essentially looking for ghosts, and they found one as they're away from their truck. Came in, was flipping the lights on and doing some stuff too. I think he told us a couple months back as well.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that, which
Yeah,
we have already
that's-
went over. I can't remember nothing. So
That's the first thing that popped in my head.
The whole little people thing, it kind of fascinates me, but I don't want to offend any little people out there, but I have a phobia of midgets and clowns.
So if you're a small person and you ever see Daniel, I'll give you $20 to bite him on the leg.
Man,
no, just hump it. Start humping his
yeah.
leg.
That would be a very bad mistake for him, because I promise you, I will punt that mug like a damn football. Dude,
You got to listen to that comedian. What's that comedian's name?
Oh man.
Is he a little person?
He's a little person. He's a midget. And John Stamos is terrified from Full House. Uncle Jesse is terrified of little people, has a phobia. Bob Saget knew this and went to that comedian's dressing room and said, John Stamos is terrified of little people. And that comedian said, I know what I must do, Bob, and saluted him and ran down the hall to John Stamos's dressing room, run in and just started humping his leg.
I cornered him up in the corner.
Don't ever put nobody up
Don't
to
tie
that.
your shoes in front of him.
You know what's
Man,
funny is Justin and I were just talking about this today, and I was making a joke. What were we talking about little people? And I said, damn it, Jesus, why'd you make them so sexy? It's weird.
Little brick shit houses. Look how they built.
Yeah. Man, it was like one time there was this guy, he was like a little midget, and he was coming to the church and he was trying to hit up on my sister-in-law. She was single at the time. And I kept my distance away from him. I really did. His name was Ray. And there was one day we were going like down, there was like this downstairs social hall part of it. And I was coming from the front part of the church and I was getting ready to make that turn right there at the steps. And he was coming up it. And what does he do but stick them little digits out to want to shake my hand? And I'm like, all I can do to hold it together. And I'm like, Jesus, 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 help me. Jesus. I shook his hand and we went on it. But yeah, there's the little people, they fascinate me, but at the same time, I don't know how I would react. It would just, I don't know. I don't know. What's y'all's take on like Bigfoot and other cryptids, but mainly Bigfoot. I'm pretty sure I've heard y'all say it. I just don't remember.
My dad, well, Bigfoot's our homie.
For sure.
My dad actually seen him when he was a teenager. He come on the show and talked about it. It's the first time he ever told the story. I never heard it. And I'm 39, so I'd never heard this story in my life. And he finally told it. But he was hunting with his dad when he was a teenager and he's seen it. Nothing big, nothing real close. You know, he just watched it and it walked away a certain way and he could just see little details of it and he didn't move.
Be very, very still.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many aspects on that. I'm kind of like it. Certain days of the week, I'm thinking certain things.
That's
can't
the
wrap my
same.
mind.
That's the same way I am. My mind changes every single day about what Bigfoot is, where it. I mean, there's so many different. Like I'll hear a couple stories, and I'm like, yeah, this dude, he's just flesh and blood. Like, you know, he's something biological. I don't know exactly what, but then I'll hear other things and other stories, and I'm like, I just don't know, man. There's something woo-woo about him. There's something going on. And then the other times I'm like, this dude's straight Nephilim. He survived. He's straight Nephilim bloodline. Something's going on here. I don't know.
Me either. It blows my mind. I do think that there are certain ones, and to even say that, it make you sound crazy because you know you got some that look different than others, and I'm wondering if there's not some of them that do have a third strand of DNA. Maybe there's some that do and some that don't. That I really don't know. Could some of them be even like government creations? Could some of those be? Could some of the cryptids be something like that? Well, I don't know. I know there's stuff out there, but I try so hard and I still can't put my finger on one exact thing.
We should write Trump a letter,
Man,
and ask him.
Of course, we have Bigfoots. America has the best Bigfoots.
They're huge. They're huge.
They're huge.
We have the hugest Bigfoots in all the world. They're way huger than in China. China has these.
Yeti wouldn't stand a chance.
Excuse me. Don't interrupt me, please. They're huge in China, but they're the hugest.
That's fake news. That's fake
America. I was there, the first Bigfoot meeting. I was there. I said, yeah, let's go forward with the Bigfoot.
My great grandfather was actually one of the Nephilim.
Probably. That's probably true. That's
He
probably
has
Nephilim.
to be.
That's
Nobody
probably
goes
Nephilim
through life
bloodline.
with that kind of hair and orange and then wins the presidency. Gosh, man. We've got now I'm not a liberal, just so y'all know. That's Trump, he's not my favorite president either, though. But That
None of my favorite.
I'm with you
No.
there, man. I'm with you. I don't talk politics a whole lot on our show, but
Thank God.
I dude, man, and I'll tell you what's hard is when I see the right wing church, how close church has become, and
it's political.
and it is, and you have people from a pulpit on a major stage who talk stuff, and it's preaching a message that is like, I'll be honest with you, man. As a Christian, I even have a hard time saying a pledge to the allegiance. That's my opinion. I have a hard time pledging because I feel like, how many times can you pledge your allegiance to? Can you pledge our allegiance to a nation where Paul says that we are a new? I'm pretty sure it's Paul. We're a new nation created in Christ Jesus. And that's not word for word how that scripture goes. That's paraphrased. But at the same time, I'm like, it's hard for me to put my hand on my heart and pledge allegiance to
You
the
ain't
flag,
kneeling, are you,
because
Bo?
if you pledge your allegiance, that's to the good or the bad. No matter what, you've pledged your allegiance to the crown. And that's hard for me to do. I'll say, I'll do Star Spangled Banner, all that good stuff, but pledging my allegiance is hard for me to do.
Doesn't
Well,
mean you don't love
I
your
don't get into
country.
that.
I think with that, I believe it's one of those things that if you look at the entire context of the actual Pledge of Allegiance, to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think if we're looking at the descriptive characteristics of that pledge, that's what makes me feel easier and more comfortable about it, because I'm pledging that I'm going to be an upstanding citizen, to show works through faith, to show love, to show compassion, to put my full force and effort behind the fact that everybody deserves freedom. Everybody deserves to make their own decisions, under the rule of law, obviously, the right kinds of laws. That's where my, we'll say, patriotism comes from. And that it goes under the line of thought that the words that are in that pledge, the words that are in the Constitution, that's the people that I'm speaking for. And it's not just the people that think like me and believe like me and all these different things. You believe how you want to believe. You think how you want to think. You live how you want to live. If you're not hurting anybody or diddling kids, you know what? You're a grown, consenting adult. You do you. Be whoever you want to be.
Yeah.
But when that,
whatever.
yeah. When you start negatively influencing or hurting people around you, especially kids, then again, that's my job to step up and to say, well, yeah, you're allowed to have your freedom, but now you're impacting my freedom. We got a problem.
We're going to kill
Exactly.
Just remember, there are no chicks with dicks, just dudes with boobs.
you. That's a good one. It's a good way of thinking of it.
Yeah. But that under God wasn't even added until what, 1950?
That I don't know. I have no idea about
I want to say
I'm not
50
sure.
or 53 or something like that.
Well, I mean, and that's just talking, the specific language and verbiage of the pledge. Now,
Well, I was just going back to his point. It wasn't under God. It was a pledge of allegiance to this nation to keep the redcoats out. Sorry to our British fans. I don't mean to call you redcoats. That's just.
but we did kick your butt. And
Justin, that's uncalled for.
And you can look at it as a draw if you want to, but we kicked your butt in soccer the other day too. We officially get to call it soccer worldwide, or at least in Europe.
Yeah. So take your little football and shove it.
Football.
There's only one football.
That's right.
It's oval.
Yeah. It's
America.
shaped like a real football.
America. All right, boys. We've been at it for almost 2 hours now.
I still have so many questions. You guys cool with hanging out afterwards and having some more questions?
What kind of questions you got?
You got coon hunting questions?
Are y'all going? Are y'all need to go?
No, we good.
Justin,
No.
do your thing then.
You ready for me to do my thing?
Well, we can let them promote their stuff again.
Well, that's exactly what we're getting ready to do. Before we jump off here,
Well, hey, let's do that then.
let's do it. I'm
Go
glad
ahead.
I'm glad you gave me the go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead, Justin. What's holding you up?
Lance, will you please say something before we get off here?
Say a word.
I have just been enjoying this so much, and I didn't want to interject any of my conversations. I had a couple things I wanted to throw in, but the conversation moved on so smoothly. I didn't want to stop anything.
I was actually he wanted you to chime in on something, and I forgot what it was now, but I was kind of interested in hearing your
Totally,
opinion.
this has been such a
don't even-
great conversation. It's just
It
moved
was
right along.
It was before I chimed in about the Council of Nicaea. But
Yeah, I don't even want to hear your opinion anymore. I wanted to hear it then. I don't want to hear it now. Me and Daniel figured it out.
I can't even remember what it was about.
I don't either.
I feel like if Dustin was here, like this is no joke right now, and it's the dynamic is weird. Me and Daniel could sit down and talk weird conspiracy and geopolitics and Genesis 6 for days. Ryan 1 and Ryan 2 here, they could sit down and it would be like the world's greatest comedy hour for days. I have a feeling their Lance is in New Orleans right now. I've got that feeling.
He is.
I mean, it's
weird
just
how it played out like that. When did y'all start? Y'all started in January too, or also?
no. We started November of last year, the end of November, almost the first of
End of
December.
November.
Well, actually, this marks our 1 year episode. Really, we're celebrating 1 year. We dropped our first episode on November the 29th. So,
It's
shit,
December.
Congratulations, fellas.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
coming up. We'll be a year in January.
yeah,
January
that's
19th.
Shit,
Well,
we're gonna
something-
throw down. We're gonna do something special.
I don't know. Probably not.
All onions do mushrooms.
I think that's a good idea.
I've done it twice on here now. It's not hard.
I'm not gonna
That's
lie.
what I try to explain.
I have really contemplated.
He does
I
not need-
want to make a decision for myself because I'll be honest. All my life growing up, I heard people say, all I heard was the church's perspective on weed or marijuana. We'll be politically, we'll say marijuana. Okay, I listened to their opinion about pot, and I'm like, when I first tried it, my very first instinct was, I have been lied to my whole entire life. Was my first thought.
And I was like, hit that shit again.
He was, man. Dude, I'll be honest, man. I hope nobody from my job listens to this, but we're past, they can't test me for this now. It was in 2009. Me and my wife was split up, and this guy I was working with, he worked with us. He said, man, weed is the best nerve pill on the planet. So what do is I call him up because he's like 18, something like that. And I already knew he had been doing it for years because I had been smelling him, but I'd never do it. And I was 29 the first time I ever consumed cannabis. And I thought, you know what? I've been lied to my whole life. I think
great.
it can make you weak in a lot of. If you don't watch yourself, you can definitely open your mind up to some weird stuff and consider it. But I'm never going to tell anybody that it's going to send them to hell. By no means am I ever going, because I don't feel that way.
Well, here's the way I put it. I'll do my drugs, as you call them, my weed and mushrooms, the natural shit, and you do your drugs made by man and pharmaceutical companies that have one of the drugs out there has a side effect of unusual femur fractures. Like, what the fuck?
Weird as hell.
How is that? Like,
that means
that's
it's not
unusual. Normally,
that-
my femur is fractured like this.
My ass hurts.
But I've really been
Anal seepage.
considering that the mushrooms. I've been considering trying it because
He does
I
not need
want
to
to see
do a
for
large
myself,
dose
man. Not just because
and go to
somebody.
the woods at night by himself.
I don't want to
No,
go
don't
at
go.
night.
Don't
I
do it
want.
at
I want
night.
to do. I really want to do a hero dose, whatever, however many grams that is, and I want
Hero's journey.
I want to take my Bible and I want to take my a notepad and a pen, and I want to go sit out in the woods in the daytime and just reflect.
You're probably
And
gonna swim and shit like that in the leaves.
I want to know. I want to know what's it like. I don't know. I have no idea. I've never done them. I've never done mushrooms, but if I do it, I'm like,
What you doing in the morning?
I want. I want to do it like I want an experience. I'm not going to do like DMT, and I'm not going to be doing mushrooms in the morning.
My cousin at work today was telling me this boy he used to work with done some ketamine or some shit like that.
Oh,
Oh,
And he had an out of body experience. Said he was sitting on the couch and he had to piss real bad. And he got up to go piss and he turned around and looked and he was still sitting on the couch. My cousin said, "Dude, what'd you do?" He said, "I went and set the fuck back down."
sat my ass back down in my body.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Oh man, that is good. That's good stuff. All right, boys, it's been a pleasure having you. You guys push your podcast. Tell the hill folk out there where they can find you, what to expect from you, anything you want to push before we jump off of this recording. Y'all push it. Now is your time.
Hey man, you can find us on all platforms. If they search Houndstooth Podcasting Network, they're gonna find Coon Hunting Confidentials. And the reason it's kind of named like that is because once you get into it, you realize the different RSS feeds and the money that goes into different RSS feeds. And so maybe long term, I would like to have somebody maybe have like a squirrel hunting show on there certain times, and just different hound hunting, because the name of my store is Houndstooth Outdoors here in Joanna. And so since this is where we're sitting at right now recording, just Houndstooth Podcasting Network, because just like I said, but our show is Coon Hunting Confidentials, and those are the only ones on there right now. And we just look for coon hunting stories that are weird, unexplainable, creepy, crazy, whatever. And then Ryan, Dustin, and myself, we do a lot of jawing back and forth and cutting up, having fun, being funny. There's a lot of stuff I have to edit out. I go through and edit it out. That's why we do an episode every other week. This one I don't have to do a whole lot of editing, but there's some stuff ADD over here will start dropping and have to get edited out of it.
I'm sorry. Again.
It happens to me too, buddy.
He got mad at me because I didn't edit one thing out, and I still hadn't lived that down. And hell, that was 6 months ago. It had to do with monkeypox and screw monkeys.
I'm gonna have to find that episode so I can hear that.
Yeah. I don't remember which one it was, but man, I try to be. This is my thing. Is I think a podcast should be entertaining, and I try to keep it entertaining, just like y'all do. Is not just so much informative, especially on like the dog hunting end. You can get into. There's a bunch of different ones, but then most of them is dog training tips, or other people talking about their stud dogs and stuff like that. And nobody's really taking it from the angle that, we're taking it from, and looking for that stuff, and just put the word out there in the audience. If anybody that, from Appalachian Intelligence audience is a coon hunter or know of anybody that has crazy coon hunting stuff, they can check out the podcast, and the email info is on there to get in touch with me. And it's on all the platforms except for Pandora. For some reason, I've had the hardest time trying to get set up with Pandora. And at this point, I really don't care. So,
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, boys, again, like I said, Ryan here, he's your number one fan beyond a shadow of a doubt. He's your number one fan. And like I said, I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it. What you guys have, it's totally original. I mean, it's something that nobody else is doing. It's a place that, it's just different, and different works. You guys aren't. I mean, obviously we have those creators out there that we kind of look to as role models, and you kind of want to structure yourself based on how they do their own thing and all this and that. But you know, at the end of the day, what you guys are doing, it's original, it's raw, it's crisp, and it's, you know, there's a whole lot of comedy in it. I laughed so hard today over
Mr. Johnny.
no,
about his
well, yeah, I did laugh about
talking
that.
about his teeth was knocked out. His wife was a big old lady.
Yeah. I was laughing my butt off with that, but I laughed even harder over ad sponsor that they were doing, which congratulations, by the way, over a light. And he asked Ryan here, he said, Ryan, tell him how good this light is, how bright this light is. Ryan says, well, rumor has it that some people can see stuff all the way back in the 1800s with this thing.
I seen shit from the 1800s with it. That's what the boy said. He said he's seen some Civil War shit. I was like, damn.
Man, when we recorded that, it was like on the fly. It was just like, man, we need to record some type of like a ad that we can plug in, because we was just like plugging it in the conversation. I was like, we got to record something, and we had already finished recording, and we come back and sat down and was just like, let's go with it. In like 3 minutes, we had 2 ads recorded, and I was like, let's go.
That's awesome. That is awesome. But no, what you guys have is original. It's great. I enjoy it. I hope Hill Folk. Yeah, Hill Folk. You guys go check it out. Go check out Coon Hunting Confidentials, Houndtooth Podcasting Network.
Show them the love.
Go show these. Absolutely. Go show these boys some love. I mean, flock to them. We love
5-star ratings.
We read our 5 stars out too, and we got the idea. I got the idea from Appalachian Intelligence.
Hey,
I heard y'all doing it, man. I was like, that's a good idea. I need to copy that.
We got it from somebody else, didn't we?
I don't know. Did we?
Was it? It was Stephen Kyle, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, we did steal that from Hollis Guy. We sure did. I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's start doing that. But that's the thing. I mean, little things like that.
1-star review too.
Yeah, they're the best.
That guy won't leave them alone.
They're the best.
Yeah, I heard that. Like,
he's constantly harassing them, like every so many months.
Yeah,
but he's giving them reviews, and he's giving them like, he's helping their algorithms. Even though he's giving them 1-star reviews, he's still commenting. And I'm like, okay, just keep leaving them, dude.
Yeah,
that's our motto. Love us, hate us, just talk about us. That's it.
All right, Justin.
But no, boys, this is for you Hill folk out there. If you want a Appalachian episode, you got it here.
Yeah,
you got it here. We talk coon hunting, we talk mandolin and banjo picking, we talk the Bible, we talk Christian morality, and we've sprinkled Bigfoot in there as well. So yeah, I mean,
always gonna talk about him.
If you're about Appalachia, this was for you. This was for you. But again, Daniel, Ryan, we appreciate you boys so much for coming on here, helping us celebrate our 1-year anniversary episode. Yay!
We appreciate you having us on here.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on the 1 year.
Hold on, let me see if my soundboard will come through on yours.
Yep, that's right. Okay, now you ready for it? Now you ready for it? Celebrating our 1-year anniversary episode.
All right, now quiet down.
Settle down, you bastards.
Guys, it's been a blast. Let's jump off here. Hill folk, please remember, follow us on social, subscribe to our YouTube. Please rate and review this show wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, go leave those 5-star ratings. And I'm going to steal this one from Tony. Go to Coon Hunting Confidentials and Houndstooth Podcast Network. Find these boys up. Go ahead and give them that 5-star review. Talk about how much you love them, and then go hit play, because that's what we do for people that we love.
That's right.
Pretty close. Was that pretty close?
That's pretty close.
Good, pretty good.
So that's what you need to do. Most importantly than anything, share the show. Share both of these shows. Send it to everybody you know. Share it. Get the word out. Ryan, Lance,
Love you to mean it.
Love you, buddy.
Hill folk, we love you. And until next time, we'll see y'all later.
I'm sorry.